But we've only got 18 minutes in the show left, and so it's going to be on to callers now. So
want to get to some more callers. We got Lynn here in Austin.
Yes, sir.
How are you, Lynn?
I'm fine, thanks. As you may recall, I've called a couple of times before, and always before it was to agree with you, and I definitely consider myself atheist-friendly. But I disagree with your idea that no attitude or action has ever been inspired by religion, which is not basically selfish. And you asked us to give examples of unselfish acts inspired by religion. So I was going to give you a couple of them.
That's not quite what I was asking.
But let her, yeah.
I fully admit that people, for religious reasons and for other things, have done unselfish things. My particular objection went to the core motivation for religious pursuits in the first place. People do, and I said a while ago, people do plenty of good things in the name of religion and not in the name of religion.
Yeah. And again, and also to suggest that something is a selfish activity doesn't mean that it's selfish in the way that you might think of the very worst examples of selfishness a human being can exhibit, right?
Yeah, because I don't consider selfish to be a dirty word or even negative.
I mean, a person can do something, and whether they do it because they're motivated by their religious belief or whether they do it just simply because they're an altruist, a person can do something, let's say they feed the homeless for a day, right? Well, there is the altruistic nature of, okay, you fed the homeless, and that's great, and you've done a good thing for them, but a lot of people who do those things also do it because they get a personal sense of gratification for having done those things. They feel like they've done some good, and that makes them happy. Now, in a sense, you're getting something out of it. Now, just because the very nature of that kind of selfishness is not, in and of itself evil, right? It's not an evil sort of selfishness, but to a certain degree, we do everything that we do in our lives because, hopefully because there's the pursuit of some pleasure or some gain.
But I want to go ahead and let you talk, Lynn. I just want to make sure that you were clear that I didn't think religious people never did anything altruistic or good or non-selfish.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
In the name of religion, you mean? Well, that's all right. Since the time is getting late, I won't bother to give the examples, except people have helped me sometimes, even at inconvenience to themselves, and said things like, if I thanked them, they'd say, well, I wouldn't be much of a Christian if I didn't, or whatever their religion is.
Yeah, and I'd say they wouldn't be much of a human being if they didn't, and that they're just projecting their Christianity onto natural human behavior.
Well, that's very interesting, but so many people don't go out of their way to help other people at inconvenience to themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's there. You'll find nice Christians and mean and indifferent Christians. You'll find nice atheists and you'll find mean and indifferent atheists. You'll find nice Hindus and mean and indifferent ones.
Are you the nice one and I'm the mean and indifferent one today? Or which one is it? Good atheist, bad atheist?
Call it in the air.
All right. Thanks, Lynn. I appreciate the call.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy New Year,
everybody. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too.
Have a very safe one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, the thing is that, we've had, and there's a good chance that the ACA will be doing more charity and social beneficial work in the future. Mm-hmm. We've done some in the past, and every Sunday down at the under the overpass by 6th and 7th Street, there's a church service, and they get all the homeless people down there and they feed them. They're not the only ones. There are ACA members who have, out of their own pocket, gone down there and fed them. And I'm not, I don't want to say the fact of the matter is, people do things, and sometimes they do good things, and sometimes they do bad things, and sometimes those things seem nastily selfish, and sometimes they seem altruistic, and sometimes they do it in the name of religion, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
What I'm not a fan of is the people who would assert that the only way to get something good is to do it through religion.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, no one, in the entire time that I've been doing this show, in emails, in conversations, on websites, no one has yet to provide a single example of a real, tangible, positive benefit that can only be achieved through religion. Not one. Oh, sure, well, you're not going to get to heaven without religion, but that's not a real, tangible benefit. That's just a claim. You can't demonstrate that you're going to get to heaven or hell either way. I'm talking about what positive benefit is there to human beings right now that can only be achieved by religion. And nobody has met that challenge. I've had a steak dinner up on that one for 3 years now, and nobody can meet the challenge. You know why? Because there isn't one. You don't have to do an exhaustive search to figure this out. You can figure it out with just a few minutes and a little exercise of reason. And yet these people who, I'll go ahead and say it, particularly fundamentalist Christians, have this idea that if you're not religious, you can't be a good person unless you're just kind of pretending to be a good person, or unless the Christian morals have flooded over onto you and forced you to be good. The fact of the matter is that your religion has been dragged kicking and screaming out of the Dark Ages and the Bronze Ages and all those other ages where you're doing all kinds of immoral stuff, and it was secular reasoning. It was the advent of human liberty and freedom and equality that forced your religion to give up slavery, to start allowing equal rights for women, to come out and take your blinders off and be part of the real humanity. President-elect Obama has decided that Rick Warren is going to give his inauguration address, and this has been the subject of a lot of conversation. And I will say right now, I've gone back and forth on the issue. On the one hand, it's not James Dobson. On the other hand, it's not Fred Phelps. On the other hand, Rick Warren has a lot of ideas that are exactly the same as Fred Phelps's. He just colors them in nicer language. He's anti-atheist, doesn't think an atheist can be a president. I need to tell him, Mr. Warren, you should go read Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution that says there'll be no religious test for any public office or trust. And then tell me that an atheist can't be a good president, or shouldn't be president at all. I don't know. What are you defining as good? He's anti-gay, but he'll stand there with a bunch of gay people and tell them he likes them right before he goes out and tries to lobby to get their rights taken away because it disagrees with his personal religious beliefs. Guess what? You do not get to foist your personal morality or your personal religious beliefs on the rest of the people in the country. We do not live in a Christian nation in that sense, Mr. Warren. We live in a Christian nation that is 75 to 80% Christian. Saying that we're a Christian nation is like saying that we're a female nation or a white nation, and I don't hear you doing that because somebody would kick your butt. I've gone back and forth on this because I realize that from a political aspect, it's a good call. It's a good call because atheists, we don't really matter. In a political scheme, we don't. We're a small minority. They don't need to pander to us at all. And, you need to throw a bone to the religious right as the new liberal, ultra-liberal president coming in so that maybe...
Yeah, but the religious right doesn't like Warren either, really.
So that maybe you can get a little bit more done with your legislative agenda. However, that's not the case. You won with a mandate. You have the political clout already. You don't need to kowtow to anybody. And there were plenty of better ecumenical choices that could have conformed to your own Christian views and not alienated you from rational, secular people. I haven't become an anti-Obama person. I don't despise. No, I actually do. I despise Rick Warren. But I understand.
Rick Warren is a dimwit.
I understand the choice. I just don't happen to agree with it.
Well, it is pandering in that I think Warren was only chosen due to his celebrity.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that was, they needed a...
Ooh, it's purpose-driven life.
Yeah. But his actually, you talk about pandering to the religious right. If that was the goal, that was a major flub because they hate him even worse than we do.
Well,
Rick Warren practiced... On the one hand, yes, he does actually share a lot of the ideological points of view that
it didn't fail. It didn't remotely fail. I got home and the first thing out of all of my religious, ultra-conservative family members' mouths was how happy they were that Obama picked Rick Warren because they love and respect Rick Warren.
Okay, well that may be then true, but I get a lot of the newsletters and the emails from some of the real wingnut right-wing Christian sites where Rick Warren practices this sort of Oprah-friendly form of touchy-feely, warm, fuzzy Christianity light that the real fire and brimstone crowd doesn't like. And so there's a lot of contempt.
He's fire and brimstone. He just chocolate coats.
Well, yeah, precisely. And they don't think it should be coated. They think it's fire and brimstone and burn the gays, and that's all.
But no president is going to pick Fred Phelps.
But here's the thing, though. At the same time, all right, Obama did this, and I'm disappointed by the choice. But I think that a lot of Obama supporters probably, there have been such high expectations, and I think maybe some people have gotten some unrealistically high expectations about Obama's presidency. And look, the guy he's a human being. He's going to make mistakes as a president. His administration will be full of decisions that even his most ardent supporters are disappointed by, just as much as they will be decisions he'll make that we'll all be very happy with. He's going to make us happy. He's going to disappoint us. He's going to have great successes. He's going to have big screw-ups. Overall, I hope he's a really good president. But I think that there is too much of a tendency, I think, with his presidency for people to have these, Obama,
Yeah, we generally avoid
not
politics on the
yeah.
show for a lot of reasons, but I don't want
So-
to come off as being unfair and
No.
and not pointing out things I disagree with from
the
people
whole-
that I
yeah.
otherwise would like.